We've talked in some of the committees about some of the changes that are going to be coming up with how we're going to be requesting funds. But then we also want to make sure that you all are up to date on what our amazing foundation does. So please welcome the Executive Director of the Front Porch Communities Foundation, Ms. Catherine Miller.
Debbie, may I take this off?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Good morning, everybody. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes, you are.
Good. Tell me if I talk too fast, because when I get talking about the foundation and the spirit of our residents that are behind it, I could probably talk for a really long time. So just tell me to slow down or to cut it off. We're here today to really talk, as Debbie said, about some of the changes and just some of the processes. How do you all put your charitable funds to work? But before I get there, I just wanted to say again, thank you for having me. And thank you for having such a great philanthropy committee. I just wanted to acknowledge the philanthropy committee here. Kristen Foley-Smith could not be with us, I'm sorry to say, but Ed Rudd and Bernie Hockner, Gloria Schlepfer, and Mac Greenidge. And if you just give them a round of applause. The work we do in the foundation is possible because residents care about each other. And you often have philanthropy committees in Southern California that have worked together for a really long time. And it makes what we do easier because we do what you all care about. And let me put that in context. I love to share with people sort of the roots of our entire organization. If you can imagine back more than 150 years ago, so it's about the 1860s in San Francisco, and if you follow your history, there had been a tremendous surge of people to the West Coast for the gold rush. San Francisco was this incredibly vital town with lots of wealth, lots of things happening. They were laying the streetcar tracks down Market Street. They were building the Cliff House out at Ocean Beach. There were people that had money for days. But a group of friends that went to church together realized that there was one group of people that was not doing so well. It was older women who'd lost their partners in the gold rush, who'd come out over the land and often had no family. And they were the people that in this vital, vibrant economy were not doing well. So this group of friends that went to church together opened a residence for older women. And you might laugh a little. The name of it was the Protestant Episcopal Old Ladies Home. That residence is no longer called the Protestant Episcopal Old Ladies Home, but it is one of our affordable senior housing communities today. It was made possible because people cared about each other. And that is the spirit of our communities, and that is the spirit of the foundations. You all probably know that we pulled together in the affiliation 5 separate foundations across the various systems of our organizations. And I was honored to become the executive director to the single new foundation, the Front Porch Communities Foundation. I was the executive director of the Episcopal Senior Communities Foundation initially, which became the Covia Foundation, which became the Front Porch Communities Foundation. We appreciate that you all have been through the transition of the affiliations, the confusion of what's called what, who's where, who's doing what, but what hasn't changed is the focus of what we do. We work with you to raise funds for your communities, very notably what you all have termed the Charitable Care Fund, the Assistance Fund for those who outlive their resources. In Northern California, because residents wanted to call it something different, we call it the Circle of Friends Fund, because they said that's really what it represents, a circle of friends who care about each other. And before we get into the nitty-gritty here, I do always like to share with people a little bit about who's helped by the resident assistance or charitable care funds. It's very, very confidential, and so I can't tell you about a person. It is something that is very private between the executive director and a resident. I don't even know who is on the assistance. program. What I can share with you, though, are the demographics. I ask finance for demographics every year just so I can tell you this story. The average person being helped is a woman who is 94 years old. She has lived in our communities an average of 18 years. She has lost her spouse, and she is generally more likely to be living at a higher level of care. Memory care, assisted living, or in the healthcare center. She's at the most frail time of her life. She's been part of really the fabric of our communities, and she never thought she'd live as long as she has. And contributions to the Charitable Care Fund, the Assistance Fund, make it possible to keep people in the communities that they've lived in, that they've become a part of. And so thank you all for being the spirit behind those funds and the spirit behind everything that we do in the foundation. On to the nitty-gritty. I know there's been some talk here of changes. One of the things that we found across the system when we consolidated the foundations is that people did things a bunch of different ways. And one of the things that we're all going through on the operating side, that Debbie and her team are going through, is systematizing some things for greater efficiencies. The foundation board and the finance team have a way that they want to be able to move charitable funds around. And one of the things I love to share with people, the foundation does not decide how to spend charitable funds. That is not our role, and that is not something I sit at my desk and do. What we really want to have happen is residents in the communities work with their executive director to put funds to work. My job is to ensure donative intent. If you write a check for $10 to the Charitable Care Fund, Debbie doesn't get to spend that on the birthday show. That's my job, to make sure that that kind of donative intent is followed. Other than that, the foundation board has said, Debbie, in working with you, has total free access to up to $100,000 a year in raised charitable funds for this community. So if there are $100,000 in various funds, she can access those funds and request them. The way that they want to do this through finance is to have her spend the money, and they will then move the charitable funds over. So she's having to do some paperwork in the background. But the basic idea is that we want charitable funds to be put to work as close to the donors as possible. You and Debbie know what you want to do with your funds. And the only thing that exists outside of that are the assistance funds. Those flow on a different track because it's a different program. There is a very defined process for assistance, and then the funds automatically flow monthly when someone is approved for assistance. We focus on raising funds at the local level so those funds can be available. So again, thank you for helping us make those funds available. But what I wanted to be sure that we had a chance to cover is any questions about this process, and to let you know why some of these changes might be important. I think here at Walnut Village, we've had more of a tradition of the council treasurer requesting charitable funds directly from the finance team in Glendale. And not only is the process sort of changing, but one of the things that I wanted to be sure to share with you when I heard about that was, oh, that's a bit of a red flag. Not for me, but it's a bit of a red flag for the IRS. And I want, again, in my role, to always be protecting our donors, protecting you all. This is a very small group of people in the IRS's eyes that live here at Walnut Village. You are the ones that are making the charitable gifts. So if you're deciding how to use them for yourselves, that is not a charitable purpose. That is a social club in the IRS's eyes. And so one of the reasons that we make sure that Debbie, as a paid staff person, is making those decisions on behalf of a community within a system that works that way is because that's what satisfies the IRS. So I know some of these changes, we're all going through a lot of changes right now. May take us a while to work out the kinks. And again, I'm happy to take any questions about things, but I wanted to be sure to tell you as much as I could about the reasoning behind some of the things that you all may not know on a day-to-day basis. So I hope that helps a little bit. But other than that, Debbie, I'm happy to take questions or talk about the foundation. Sure.
Are the donations eligible for tax exemption?
Donations to the foundation are eligible for IRS charitable donation status. The one thing that I always like to be clear with people about, because there's some confusion at the holidays when you do your appreciation for your employees, those do not run through the foundation, and I cannot speak to that. Yeah. And there have been a lot of changes in Congress about, those of you who follow this sort of thing, about the kind of way we do our taxes. We will be planning some sessions this year, information-wise, to just help keep you up to date. We're working with the marketing and sales team here to put one together on April 18th, mostly for prospects, but we're gonna offer also, I think, to open it up to residents, because these were tax law changes that were enacted right at the end of 2022, and it's good to always keep up with what Congress is doing, especially when it comes to your charitable deductions.
So those of us, this is on? Okay, those of us who are on a committee that need to request funds, will we still ask the philanthropy committee, or do we go straight to Debbie?
That's really something that you all can decide locally. Generally, if you have a philanthropy committee, you are working with the philanthropy committee and Debbie, but that is something you all can work out. If you have committees that work outside of the philanthropy committee, the philanthropy committee itself is very central to what you do, but that really is your decision.
That doesn't tell me what to do.
And again, I will invite Debbie to address that when she works with you all, because it's not that I don't have a dog in this fight, but you all should do things the way that you want to. The philanthropy committees are set up to work with you all as much as anything. But different philanthropy committees work a little differently, and so yours may focus on particular things, scholarships, charitable care, and you may have other committees that like to work on other things that the philanthropy committee may choose not to be involved in as much. I don't know how it works here, and it could work however it works well for you all. So if you and Debbie sit down and talk about that, yay.
Okay, further question then, if Debbie has $100,000, is that also accessible to the philanthropy committee? Are those two pots of money?
No,
Is there
the amount without further approval, and thank you for the question because this allows me to clarify something I should have said. This $100,000 is an annual amount for Walnut Village to use without further approval from anybody. So the philanthropy committee, the committees, Debbie, you can request that money. If you have money sitting in charitable funds that you'd like to do more than $100,000, you hit that limit, or you have a big project, you want to put in a swimming pool and you have $10 million in capital funds, that request goes before the foundation board. So you can access as much of your charitable funds as are there, but if you're going to access more than $100,000 in a year, there are other people that will be involved in the consideration too. But all of your requests from Walnut Village go through Debbie, and $100,000 is the pot without further approval. Did I get the question? There are not three $100,000 pots, one for philanthropy committee, one for Debbie, and one for other committees. There are not. And what we do, again, in terms of transparency, we provide, right now on a quarterly basis, I prefer to provide these more frequently, but we are trying to work with the finance team that is implementing this big electronic platform right now. They've been able to commit to quarterly fund balance reports. And what Jill or Keith Church, two of our philanthropy officers, will do every quarter is share Walnut Village's fund balances with Debbie so that you always know how much you have in charitable funds. It will show any amounts that have been spent will have been deducted, and any amounts that come in will have been added.
My question is, the $100,000, you mentioned raised funds. 2 months out of the year, we ask our nice residents to donate to Birthday Show Corral Scholarship. So that's the connection with the $100,000?
The $100,000 is just a number. So right now, Walnut Village has a lot more than that in your charitable funds. That's just a limit. Every dollar that you raise here, every dollar in a check that people write to the foundation for Walnut Village, we keep track of it in those fund balances. And again, that's a lot of my role as the foundation director, to keep track of our charitable funds. When we consolidated 5 foundations, people were concerned, what's going to happen to our charitable dollars? Well, I want you to know that we have 187 funds that we keep track of across the system, because every single fund for every single community was simply transferred over. And we have code numbers for it, and we know how much money is in there, because that's the essence of my profession, to work with people to raise money to accomplish something that's bigger than themselves, to do what they want to do. So it's my job to keep track of that. So.
And the second question I have is, Debbie has the money. Do you think there'll be any changes in how we get our checks to pay our vendors when they come? I know it's...
There will definitely probably be changes, but it's not because of the foundation and it's not because of Debbie. It's because we're implementing, you've probably heard about it, the big business systems platform at the front porch level. It helps finance to keep track of all the bills they have to pay. It helps them get a better sense of what they call the supply chain and the purchase. If those of you who worked in this during your lives will love this kind of terminology. It is basically the sort of the work engine of the finance section. And every bill we pay across the system, whether it's for bleach to clean the floors or food to serve in the dining room, everything will be going through this purchasing system. And it's basically a way to keep track of invoices and issue checks. So any checks that you issue, say to your birthday show performers, will have to come through that route, and then the foundation funds will come back in. It's kind of like backfilling. That's the way finance will be handling. So yes, there will be some changes because they're going to have to go through this check requesting system, but everybody is using that system now and starting to get used to it.
So what kind of turnaround can we expect on the check?
That's a great question. Again, if it were my department, I would tell you it would be 2 days, but it is not my department and I do not run the finance team. So I don't know how it works now. Because it's an electronic system, there should be a timetable of very quick turnarounds on things. Remember, right now the system is just getting up and running. The people who actually pay the bills are doing a lot of handwork right now still, because they want to keep things moving forward. So I don't think you're going to see a big change. There may be a change here if you've actually handwritten checks yourselves, and so that is a change.
I have 2 questions, I guess. Let's stay with this topic first. Hello? There we go. We are used to having a person on site write the check and we hand it to the person. We understand that maybe those checks will be mailed to that person. Is that true?
I don't know, I can't tell you, but as I said to Debbie, I'm happy to work with Debbie and the finance team to figure out how to make the transition here smooth and to make sure it works for you. I don't want you to get the wrong idea that I'm saying, oh, well, here's the system, you just have to work with it. We want to be sure to make this work for you all. And you may have some really unique kinds of requirements, like you have a lot of performers and you need checks on the day, and maybe it gets canceled because of COVID, and so you need more flexibility. So we'll work with Debbie and the finance team to figure out, well, how do we do this for Walnut Village? How do we make this make sense for them?
The
Question
second,
back here.
okay, I have one more question, and that relates to the 100,000 you said we could draw on the amount that you have in the fund. When we come short on our budget, then we've gone to the philanthropy committee and asked for additional money. So I'm hearing a conflict that we can only draw the amount that's been donated. That didn't leave room for asking for additional money.
Oh, you all can do whatever you like. I mean, you can raise all the funds you want. I love it when people raise money. But you can't spend money you don't have. And so if you have a fund to pay for, let's say you have a fund to pay for the chapel, and there are no dollars in the chapel fund, then you can't request funds from the chapel fund because they're not there. Remember, though, that there may be some discretionary funds. And again, we'd have to look at the fund balance reports. Sometimes people make a gift to their community without specifying a fund, so it goes to a general community fund. And Debbie also has access to those. So it really is what's in your fund balances and how you all decide to access those. And your philanthropy committee, too, is active in noticing those kinds of things, I would hope, and working with you, that if you have something you'd like to support that has been supported with charitable funds, that you work together to raise those funds too. So, does that answer your question?
Halfway.
Okay, we'll keep working to get the other half then. We had a question back here.
Yes, thank you. Two questions. First, is there a lower limit? Is there a petty cash? If you have a $10 expense, does it need to go through to get a check, or is there a petty cash option?
That I don't know. That is sort of, again, a local operating process. It's how you all figure out how to do things.
Okay, the second question is, let's go back to your original item where a person runs out of money. Okay, considering the amount of money that each of us pays, if we have, God forbid, two of us, I run out of money, someone else runs out of money, that could use up $100,000 just like that in a year. Does that come out of that $100,000?
No, assistance is outside of this amount of money that we're talking about and this process. It won't be long, probably right after the first of the fiscal year. The operating team, one of the things we in the foundation ask them, again, consolidating across the organization, there were a lot of different ways of doing things. Assistance was one of those things. And what we asked the operating team to work with us on was a system-wide policy on residents' assistance, so that the residents who live in our communities and the executive directors who help make these communities work would all be working from the same assistance policy, and they would all know what it is, because we think it's important that you know this. Who's eligible for assistance? How do you even start the conversation? What does it mean to be eligible? And so it's spelled out in the policy. Our role in the foundation is to raise funds to make sure that each community has assistance funds available. And right now there are some communities that do not have assistance funds available. So my team is working on that. The thing that I think is most important to realize is that you have charitable care funds available right now. There is a balance for Walnut Village. And I would like to encourage you to think about whether that fund is something you'd include in your giving or in your state plans. Because the reason that funds are available and that we don't want to see them exhausted is because we are often living in communities with programs and services like assistance that have been provided by people who came before us. And I'll share with you a story. I call this fundraising by opening the mail, and I keep a box of tissues on my desk for this kind of thing. I opened an envelope from an attorney. This was last year, and in it was notice of an estate gift of $1.2 million from a resident who had passed away and had never made a gift to the foundation. Had lived in her community, had loved her community, decided to leave her entire estate to her community for assistance because she spent so many treasured years of her life there. And that is what makes assistance funds available, is that spirit that you all have with one another. we would hope that we don't have the prospect of running out of assistance funds. But I have to tell you, I've been working in senior living for a while, and after the 2008 downturn, wow. The organization I was working with, the assistance needs doubled, and then they tripled over about 8 years. So we really saw an impact, and we really focused on raising awareness about assistance because we knew we didn't have that kind of money to cover it across the system. And we made a commitment to work with residents to find that money. And so we will always have those kind of conversations. We will also have those conversations with the operating team because the operating team here is very aware that we have people in our communities that are living longer lives, never expected to outlive their resources. And I have to tell you, it's funny when you look at the age tables and the expected mortality rates, living in a community like this almost guarantees that you're going to live a lot longer. And it's one of the things that we have to take into account when we are doing anything that requires a risk pool. You may have seen our notice recently about charitable gift annuities. The Congress has decided, and if you're interested, take advantage of this quick because they probably won't let this last forever, that you can take up to $50,000 out of your individual retirement account that you have to tap anyway. Once you get to a certain age, you have to start taking that money out because the government would like to get its taxes. But for those in the older age ranges, you can now take $50,000 of that required minimum distribution from your IRA and put it into a gift annuity, which pays you a lifetime income. And they're very nice rates. We do, across the country, most nonprofits say, yes, out of gift annuities, we generally get about 70% of the original amount. So if you set up a $10,000 gift annuity, at the end of your life, $7,000 is left for the charity. And I look at that and I think, well, not in my nonprofit, because our people live a lot longer. And our average rate of return on the gift annuities back to the charity is much lower than 70%. And I think that's fine, because what I'm happy is that there's a charitable vehicle that gives people a steady income back to them. And then at the end, there's a little gift left. Because generally, the people we're working with, like you all, will make other gifts to the foundation too. So I'm sorry that is a little bit of a segue, but I hope I answered your question about assistance.
How large is our fund at the moment?
$337,000 in charitable care funds available. It's not a big fund. You don't have a big draw on it though, as far as I can see.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I've got a question. I was always under the impression that if you ran out of funds, you would not be kicked out. But what happens when the care fund runs dry?
It's a great question. And it's one that, it's one of the reasons that you haven't seen the policy out yet, because I have asked the operating team to be very, very clear about that. The preference is that we use assistance funds that have been raised at the local level, because we know they're available. So each community would have assistance funds available. We have monthly contract communities that look a little different than what they call the life plan contract, where people have paid a big entry fee. And that difference I have asked the operating team to be very clear about, and to be very clear about what happens if a community exhausts its assistance funds. And while we continue to try to work to raise them, what happens if they have a need? We do have communities in that situation right now. So they will have a very clear answer on that. The answer in concept is, well, we're never going to ask anybody to leave. That is not my decision, though. I've asked the operating team, as I said, to be very clear about it. And John Woodward has said, we have a lot of resources. It's sort of the essence of what we do is to provide community for people. We have a new CEO coming in, and I know that that's one of the things that we're probably delaying the policy for, because we want him to be sure to be involved in this. Sean Kelly is a senior living executive. I've met Sean before at National Leading Age conferences. He's very familiar with our industry area, and I think he will be very thoughtful about this. So I am probably sounding like I'm talking around your question because I don't have the perfect answer for you. And hopefully I will have the perfect answer once we get the fiscal year underway and we have this policy out from the operating team. Will you forgive me?
For now.
Thank you. Other questions? I'm probably taking way too much time, so. I am always available. I like to be sure to tell people that, and at the same time, I want to stress how closely we work with the executive director and the philanthropy committees. You always welcome to call me or call one of our philanthropy officers, and I'm happy to talk with you about anything. Email me, but I will always loop Debbie in too, because in my view of the world, Debbie has to run a small city and keep you all happy. And there is nothing that happens in your city that she shouldn't know about, because ultimately she's responsible for it. But that does not mean that you have to go through Debbie. If you have a question, you're welcome to call me or email me. And if you like my card, I'm happy to share it with you. If there are no other questions, Debbie, I'm going to turn it back over to you. So thank you again for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Catherine. That was really, I think, illuminating. And maybe a little complex, but I think, how'd you do this, Ernest?
There's 2 ways. Oh, sorry, I took it out.
Pop it in from the top.
Okay. But I think what we really should remember is right now you're kind of asking Doug for money as you need it. You know what you have in your funds based on his last spreadsheet, or pretty close to it. We'll continue to get updates from the foundation at least quarterly, so I'll track that on a spreadsheet. But basically, if you need something, instead of buying it yourself, I'll buy it and I'll request reimbursement from your fund, from Front Porch Communities Foundation. If you need a check, I think that's where we kind of need to really think about this, because again, accounts payable is learning the new system. So as soon as you know you're going to need a check, hopefully, like, if you could give it to me 4 weeks in advance, that way we know we're going to get it. Until we know exactly how quickly they're going to be able to do it. It used to be they used to cut checks every Wednesday. I think that's a little different now. So we'll just kind of roll with it, but we'll make it work. Okay? All right. Okay. Thank you for that. Okay. So again, a big thank you to Catherine and the foundation and all that they do. You know, I've told you guys before, in my prior life in for-profit, we didn't have the option of really kind of supporting each other and making sure that the people, our neighbors that we know and love and who we grow to really feel like our family, can remain here. So, and I think we've done a pretty good job with our charitable care fund as compared to some other communities. And so that's super beneficial, and I think we're going to continue to talk about that more in April and May. Okay, so if you can go ahead, and thank you. Just a reminder, our State of the Organization meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, February 22nd. I've gotten questions from some of you. Thank you. I've sent that up to corporate for them to start reviewing. If you haven't gotten your invitation, you've misplaced it, the Zoom invitation, let me or Ernest know. We can make you a copy. And then we're also going to be meeting in the LLC if you prefer to do it more in a group setting. And that'll be 2 o'clock in the LLC, February 22nd. So, and again, you know, as we go through the weekend, we have a couple more days. If a question comes up, don't be afraid to ask it at the actual State of the Organization meeting. Okay, COVID. Only 1 staff member, no residents. Woo! And you know, the state of emergency ends February 28th here in California. It doesn't really change a lot for us. You know, we're still all supposed to be wearing masks. We're not going to have to take daily temps for our staff members anymore. We're just kind of screening on symptoms, obviously asking people to stay home, asking you guys if you don't feel good, please stay in your apartment, let nursing know, they'll come and test you. Either way, we'll make sure that you're getting better, not exposing anybody until you feel good again. I sent out a reminder in the resident handbook, just, you know, balconies, let's make sure that there's only outdoor furniture, potted plants, so that it's aesthetically pleasing for everyone. And then also motorized carts. I want to remind folks we need to be very conservative when we're driving the motorized carts. There's some folks who whiz around a little too fast, go around corners too fast. Just note that you do have to have a doctor's note saying that you're cognitively able to drive that motorized cart, and it is subject to kind of reevaluation if there's some unsafe behavior. So we just need to keep everybody safe, as you know. Okay. New resident orientation. We've had quite a few folks move in the last 6 months. We want to kind of open up another new resident orientation, and that'll be March 28th, 2 o'clock in the LLC. Of course, anyone who's moved in the last year, you're welcome to come. We know that it's overwhelming when you first move in. A lot of new stuff, a lot of information, a lot of how we do things specifically, a lot of little hidden secrets that our resident council executive committee would like to kind of share with you. So come with your questions. Hopefully we'll have a lot of answers for you ahead of time in our presentation. And then anybody who wants a brush up, you know, kind of, or just has some questions, you're welcome to come as well. I'm going to invite Pam to come on up and talk a little bit about care.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for continuing to stay safe and wear your masks. Some of you know that we're out doing our annual health and wellness evaluation, so myself or one of the nurses will be calling you to set up appointments. We've started this the last couple of weeks. We got a little bit behind during COVID. We weren't really going to visit you in the apartments during that time, so now we're kind of in catch-up mode, so we're ready when the state comes in June. What we do in these, we're going to be asking you if you have any med list changes, any upcoming procedures or surgeries, your changes in your doctors, any changes to your power of attorney or your advance directive. And we're finding that there's a lot of new stuff on your face sheets, your first and second person power of attorney has changed or they've passed. So we want to be able to update all of your information when we're in your room. So be ready when we get there with this information because it's really important. And we also are going over if your doctor states that you're not able to perform an activity of daily living independently, showering, dressing, you're going to know that and you're going to be able to tell us that, and that's when we're going to try to put you on some staff services. And a lot of those staff services are starting when you are falling. So we've had a lot of falls in the past couple of months, you know, more than normal. So I just want everybody to be aware of that, and we are here for you. We'll do another assessment if you have to go out to the hospital when you come back, and we will assess you for any care needs that you will have at that time. And just because you go on care services doesn't mean it's a permanent. Some people go on for a month until they rehab and they get back to their baseline, and then we take you off. So it doesn't work like you're always on services. I think people have that in their head. So if you have any questions about that, please feel free to give me a call. Thank you, guys.
Okay. So I need to actually put these slides in order of height, I guess. I think I say that every month. Coming up next, please welcome Ethan.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Debbie. How's everybody doing? Good. So we've had a lot going on around here lately. I'm sure everybody's seen all the projects that we're getting done. So let me just start with one of the biggest ones that we're working on right now, which is the fountain renovation. That's been underway for about 2 weeks now. It's going very well. I think we're on schedule to be completed around March 20th, 23rd. So we've got about 4 or 5 more weeks on that. Also, we got the leak that was going into the spa area through the planter. We were able to excavate that, get some waterproofing in there and some new drainage, and sealed all that back up. We got new plants in there, new vine to grow back on the pergolas, and got the pergolas all painted up again. So that area should be nice looking now again. We also had a issue with the pool heaters. Was able to get some brand new boilers in for those and get them in within a couple of days, so that wasn't too much of a wait time on that, and everything should be running on as normal for those pools as well. Next thing, we just started, or actually getting a schedule to start the new PA system that we had talked about for emergency notifications. Should be next Tuesday. We'll begin with the parking garage installation of all the infrastructure, conduit, wiring, and whatnot. And then from there, we'll progress up into the hallways and the rest of the common areas. I don't have an exact schedule on that yet, but I'm estimating probably about 4 to 6 weeks on that completion as well. I'm pretty sure probably most of you have seen the new glass tops we put on the tables at the bistro. I think they look really nice. I hope you guys are happy with them. Takes away from some of the stains and stuff that we had on the tabletops there. We will be adding some additional ones to the Red Chair Lounge tables, the LLC Breezeway tables, and then also the putting green tables. So those will be coming in a few weeks as well. The summer house too, construction has begun over there. They're well underway. I'm sure some of you have seen the giant excavator over there dumping trash into the trash trucks. So they're definitely getting a lot of the construction materials out, and everything seems to be flowing pretty good on that right now. We did just recently have the quarterly grease trap cleaning done for the kitchen and the bistro. So you might have gotten a little smell of that in the hallways. So that is something that we do quarterly, just to make sure that we don't have any backups in the main plumbing lines. Everything went well with that as well. I also had a annual roof survey completed last month. In cognizance that, so we're doing the construction of summer house, I wanted to try and make sure that we get any repairs done over there, as well as to the village side. So we have a good plan right now, and we'll be putting that into action over the next couple of months to get those repairs done. But right now, everything, I mean, it's just mostly a maintenance issue, no structural issues that were found at all. And I know a lot of you have put in work orders and come up to me and asked me about signage around the village and the campus. So I've actually been able to, thanks to Susan, find the original sign company that did Walnut Village. So we're working with them on getting some of the signage that's faded out or broken or missing replaced, so it looks original again. And that's all I have for maintenance. Does anybody have any questions?
We will be having an earthquake drill in April. Do you think we'll be able to use the new hallway speakers instead of the fire bell to get it started?
I imagine that will be definitely up and running by then, for sure.
And it will cover all the hallways?
It's going to cover all the hallways, all the common areas.
What about the cottages?
The cottages are still in question, which is something we need to discuss about those as well.
We may need to do them separately still. Yeah.
Possibly, yeah.
Okay.
Anything else? I've got a couple back there.
Are there any plans to replace the timer on
Are there any plans to replace the timer on the jacuzzi? You turn it on, it doesn't turn itself off.
Yeah, that one was put in temporarily, and we had not gotten the proper one put in yet, but I'll definitely get a work order to get that going.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
What are we doing about the roach problem?
Yes, that has been an issue. We are definitely doing treatments. Whenever we get reports, we try to get as many units done at the same time. It seems to be that they're, traveling within, 3 floors. So we try to hit whichever floor it started on, and then the one above, one below, and then we're also asking residents to either side if they've had any issues, and we're putting those on the treatment plan as well. One more here, PJ.
Since I can't see the roaches, can somebody come up and look and see?
Yeah, we can definitely do a walkthrough for you.
Because I don't need roaches for my kitty.
No, we can definitely come do a visual inspection and check the cabinets and whatnot for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, thank you guys. Have a good day.
Thank you, Ethan. We do keep him busy. Kim, dining. Oh.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Just have a few updates for you. So this Tuesday is Mardi Gras, and we're going to try something different in order to get everybody out who wants to attend the 7 p.m. Dixie Deluxe presentation. So we're actually going to start dinner at 4:30. So for those of you who are planning on attending the show at 7, please plan on making an earlier reservation than you normally would, so that we can guarantee that you get out and over here in time for the show. We're also going to be doing a special happy hour that day, and because the dining room will open at 4:30, we'll start happy hour at 4. So we'll run happy hour from 4 to 6, and that will include a special hot appetizer and a alcoholic drink, as well as non-alcoholic drinks. Speaking of special happy hours, beginning in March, every Thursday we'll be having a special happy hour. And again, that'll include a hot appetizer and an alcoholic drink to go along with it. And at the end of March, Chef RG and myself are going to be doing a combination cooking demo with a nutrition talk. So something to look forward to.
Tasting samples.
We will have samples, of course. So something to look forward to at the end of the month. Thank you very much.
Lots of fun things coming up in the dining department, and we'll lower this for Susan.
Good morning, everybody. As you can see up above, occupancy, we're still holding at that 91.34. Unfortunately, we didn't have our move-in that we were planning this month. She's decided to pull out, and possibly I think she will come back around again. Yesterday, we had a wonderful event. It was a chocolate and champagne, so we had over 25 prospects, all well qualified to be living here at Walnut Village. I had a great team to help me with Ellen and Doug Boston, Elizabeth Ogle, and Terry Chun, as well as Kim and her team with dining, and housekeeping and maintenance made everything look sparkly and nice, and everyone had a great, it was really a very good turnout. Our next big one is going to be in March. It's going to be a resident panel. I've already approached a couple of you to be on this panel, and I'm looking forward to it. I've done one of these in the past, and it's been very helpful for prospects to hear, asking you questions of what it was like to make the decision to move, why you moved to Walnut Village, and the process, and hopefully all of everybody is very happy to be here. So that is one, and then like Elizabeth mentioned, we are planning one for the philanthropy group for prospects, but that will be in April. So we're keeping busy, and it's just Marina and myself now. We lost our sales and marketing assistant. She went on to a higher level career, which we're happy for her, but we're sad for ourselves. But enjoy your day, and thank you for all being here.
Thank you, Susan. And now Sandy is going to talk to you a little bit about some of the scams and issues we've been seeing electronically.
Hello.
Hello. Hi.
So as many of you may know, because I know I got a call this morning already about a scam and yesterday. So there's been many scams going on. I would say the most common ones are the text messages from Amazon that say either your account's going to be suspended or you purchased something rather large and please contact us. That is a scam. Ignore it, delete it, don't worry about it. If you are worried, check your Amazon account by going to Amazon.com and look in your account. Another big one is a locked computer scam. And that one I just saw yesterday with somebody. And so there's a big pop-up that comes up on the screen that says, Microsoft has locked your computer, there's a virus, give us a call. And they have a variety of different phone numbers. That is definitely a scam. You won't be able to do anything on your computer unless you know how to get rid of that off your screen. If you don't know, please give me a call and I will help you do that. There has been some people that have called and they're always asking for large sums of money to unlock your computer. So do not call the number. If you don't know, just give me a call. If you don't know what else to do, you can just unplug your computer and that should make it go away also. It tells you not to, but don't listen. Also, there's been a lot of Facebook duplicate or deceased person friend requests. Obviously, if the person is no longer living, they can't friend request you, so you know that's not real. If it's a duplicate friend request, you're already friends with that person, I would say most likely that's not real. If you're not sure if they've opened a new account, contact that person and find out before you accept the friend request. As always with phone calls, don't give out any of your information. Don't say yes on the phone, just hang up. If you're not sure if it's a real call, find the real number and call them back. Don't call the number they give you. If it's for a credit card, look on the back of your credit card and call the number given by the bank. And emails, if there's any emails from financial companies, even if it is your bank, or it's Amazon, or if it's something you do have, I would still suggest not to click through the email and just go directly to the website, just in case it's not really the right account. And as anything, if you're not sure, give me a call. We can go through anything you're not sure about, and I will walk you through it and help you through it. Thank you.
Please welcome Ryan.
Try this myself and see if I can raise it up. Ah, it works. Ah. Debbie made that look so easy. Confidence that I could do something. Thanks everyone that came to our quarterly balance screening the other day. It's always good to see people to, you know, it's a good chance to give everyone vindication of their hard work in the gym, that it really works. It works. Even as little as like 2 days makes a difference, and you don't have to be there for hours and hours. It's a short amount of time, I promise. It's really short. It's not that long. But it's very beneficial, and there's, you know, it's nice to have that data to really drive that message home. So, would like to encourage everyone to come exercise, right? It's one of the few things that we can't do for you here at Walnut Village, right? We got a great housekeeping team that can do weekly housekeeping. Ethan with his team of maintenance, if you got work orders, just a phone call away. Kim does great, obviously, the kitchen, making wonderful meals. I can't exercise for you. I would if I could, I really would. I really, really would, but I can't do it for you. I can tell you what to do and when to do it and how long to do it, but I still can't do it for you. I'll get off my soapbox. And then the next thing, just to keep on everyone's radar, next month, April 1st, is the Alzheimer's Orange County Walk at Angel Stadium. It's going to be April 1st. There'll be more information to follow, but we'll have a bus going. We'll probably leave here around 8:30ish or so, but just kind of give everyone a heads up. April 1st, always a fun time. We do have shirts available still for the small donation, and all the proceeds go directly to that wonderful organization that we're very happy to work with. So we hope to see everyone excited for that and to sign up and join us. Thanks, everyone. Any questions? Perfect.
A question why Ryan can't exercise for me. Chaplain Les, please, come on up.
Good to see you. We have our regular and ongoing chapel events that are happening. We have an ecumenical worship service on Sunday mornings, every Sunday at 10:30. And worship services are open to everyone, regardless of religious belief. We have our regular weekly Bible discussions at 10:30 on Wednesdays in the LLC. And we've decided to try something a little bit different, something new. I will be available in the vault from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock every Sunday and every Wednesday, unless we get bumped for some reason, which is liable to happen. Another program needs to use the room. But other than that, I will be available in the vault. The idea being that there's more traffic in that area. It's easier to get to. And I had been doing this once a month, and I would have every now and then someone come up to me and say, oh, are you going to be in there the first Wednesday of the month? I will come and talk to you then. And we'd be waiting 3 or 4 weeks, and I think that's a little bit too long. And I also believe that twice a week is easier to manage than once a month. It's easier to remember. So if anybody wants to talk about anything, I'm there in the vault most of the time on Sunday and Wednesday from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock. Now that I've announced that I'm going to be there, I'm going to tell you the exceptions. Will not be there this Sunday. I will be gone. And I believe the following Wednesday is the State of the Organization meeting, and I don't want to compete with that. So with the exception of this coming Sunday and this coming Wednesday, it is Sundays and Wednesdays from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock. I'm continuing with the weekly Summer House Bible study and brief worship service. Every Tuesday at 10:30 at Summer House, we do a service, a Bible study, we sing, do Bible readings, and that's happening on a regular basis at Summer House. Wednesday this coming, February 22nd, is Ash Wednesday. We've talked a lot about Mardi Gras that's coming the night before, so the idea is that everybody parties and eats a lot the night before so that we can begin our fast the next day, which is Ash Wednesday. We'll have an Ash Wednesday service from 11 o'clock to 11:45 on Wednesday. Those of you who would like to receive ashes, which is symbolic of repentance, is part of our tradition. If you would like to receive ashes and aren't able to come to the service, I will be wandering around the community. See me, and I will do the imposition of ashes with a very brief liturgy connected during the course of the day. And then, of course, we have our Lenten suppers Wednesdays during March 1st, 8th, 15th, 22nd, and 29th, from 5 p.m. until 6:30 p.m. in the veranda room. And those, of course, are open to everyone. It's the time when we talk about Lent, we practice Lent, and we do so with a Lenten supper together. And the supper is designed to be rather sparse, not a lot to eat, because it includes the notion of fasting, of giving up something that's connected with Lent. Now, for that reason, we have a very sparse sort of meal, just soup and something to drink. And if we would leave a little bit hungry, that's okay. Traditionally, during Lent, we have been taught and practiced that we give up something. Like, what are you giving up for Lent? Giving up beer, I'm giving up chocolate, I'm giving up church politics, I'm giving up something for Lent, a regular practice that oftentimes people do. But rather than have a give up something for Lent, I think what we're going to do is take something on for Lent. And I'm referring to that as the Lent event. So during the course of Lent, instead of giving up something, do something that's very positive, very wonderful, very giving. That can include feeding somebody that's hungry, that has no access to food, spending time with somebody who needs some time, being with somebody who's grieving to offer support, etc., etc. So be creative about what your Lent event will be. And let's practice that this year during Lent. So that's what's happening in the area of spiritual care. I really enjoy meeting people and hearing your story and talking. And I just want you to know that, and you know if you need a chaplain. If you do, I'm available. Thanks.
Are you doing this or am I doing it? Okay, so Judy's off today. Maybe we can trade off. So things that are coming up, save the dates. On Monday, President's Day, no classes in the gym. Catholic Communion service in the chapel here at 10:30. Bingo at 2 in the LLC. On Tuesday, Fat Tuesday, we're gonna have that fun happy hour. We've got Dixie Delicates, Dixie Delics. Target outing at 12, timers, 3 p.m. in the pack. Dinner starts at 4:30, and of course, Dixie Delic, is it Dixie Delics or Delicus?
It's Delics.
Delics?
Yeah. I don't know why it's spelled that way.
Ignore the U. 7 p.m. Silent U.
Where?
Here, in the pack. Wednesday, February 22nd is Ash Wednesday, as Chaplain just mentioned, 11 a.m. here in the chapel, State of the Organization in the LLC at 2, or in the comfort of your own home, if you've got a computer and access to Zoom. Chorale practice 3 o'clock here in the pack. Thursday, February 23rd, Judy's taking everyone to Chapman University. There's an exhibit there. Sign in at the activity book, please. Departs at 9:30. Musical Theater Cast Birthday Show, 3 p.m. on the 23rd. Should be fun. Friday, February 24th, shopping at Brea Mall, depart at 9:30. And then Monday, February 27th, Casino Pachanga, depart 9 a.m. Hope you win something. And then Bingo, 2 p.m. I hope you win that too. And to end, joy is what happens to us when we allow ourselves to recognize how good things really are. So on that note, oh, we got a question. Yes, Helen?
I've noticed that the California flag is rather tattered on the entrance. I don't know who you contact to get a new one.
I do. Okay, thank you for that. We'll replace that. Anybody else have any questions? Always great to see you guys. Have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy. And thank you again, Catherine, for coming to spend some time with us.